Childhood. Anybody here? Show of hands? Okay. Yeah, well, good for you. Really. My childhood sucked. My parents divorced when I was 18 months old, and my mother didn't want me, so she just handed me over to my father. As a matter of fact, when the doctor first told her that she was pregnant with me, she got angry. And then when I was born, she was generally just disinterested. And so she just handed me over to my father. My mother was just one of those kind of women who never really wanted to be a mother, and thankfully for me, she admitted it to herself and just released me over to my dad. Now, my father was only 23 years of age when I was born, and he had just moved from the San Francisco Bay Area to what seemed like the middle of nowhere, Albuquerque, New Mexico, to take obviously not nowhere, to take a job as an underpaid, overworked university football coach. So it was just he and I out there by ourselves, and he was just trying to figure out this parenting thing all by himself. So you can see here that his parenting strategy was to shove me in the corner of a couch, barricade me with pillows, put headphones on my head to try to keep me quiet, right? That stunned look I have on my face, I had that most of my childhood. Now, my father was not necessarily the nurturing type, you might say. As a matter of fact, it was well known around our household that you kind of had to fend for yourself. My father was a muscle-bound alpha male, and, we affectionately kind of referred to him around our household as a bit Neanderthal. So if you've never seen The Missing Link, this is what it looks like here. And my father parented like he coached, which meant there was no whining, no crying, no excuses, lots of yelling, lots of cursing. As a matter of fact, do you remember the movie Full Metal Jacket? Okay, Sergeant Gunnery, that was my father, but in short 1970 coaching shorts. As a matter of fact, he was famous or infamous for one of his coaching philosophies, and that was no matter how hurt a player got on the field, they were not allowed to come out of the game. So one time, this linebacker just gets creamed in the middle of the field, wobbles to the sideline, begs my dad to come out of the game, and he pulls his face mask and yells, "Not unless you're showing bone!" And he pulled back his shoulder pad, and out from his neck skin was sticking his collarbone. So anytime us kids wanted to stay home from school because we were sick, he'd yell from the other side of the house, "Not unless you're showing bone," and we'd have to drag our sorry butts out to school. So when I was 4 years of age, he married my stepmonster. I did not mispronounce that. And they went on to have 2 other children. And because in her eyes I was of the other woman, she did anything she possibly could to try to ostracize me from the family. I was literally a redheaded stepchild. And you can also see that my father cut my hair, which I think I suffer more emotional trauma from than anything else. Today, I stand before you because of this dysfunctional childhood is the reason why I believe today I'm the very functioning achiever that I have become. Because I had to get over these issues of abandonment is the reason why I'm vigorously self-reliant. Because I grew up under a Neanderthal university football coach is the reason why I'm so driven and self-motivated. Because in our household you had to achieve in order to get any attention or any love is the reason why I'm so goal-oriented and motivated. You see, these were the muscles that I built. You know how you build a muscle, right? You put it under incredible strain, stress, repeated strain and stress. What you're actually doing is tearing the muscle fiber. You're destroying the muscle fiber, but then in rest and recovery, it grows back bigger than it was before. So it were these experiences that built the muscles so that I can do the extraordinary things that ordinary people that have not had this training can do themselves. So I guess my first message to you is I hope that your childhood sucked too. And that you see this as your new philosophy, that your adversity is your advantage. You have not developed wounds from your past, you have developed muscles that exercise now allow you to do the extraordinary things that people who had a happy, normal, nice childhood might not be able to do just as well. So that's the first message. Now, what I want to talk to you about in the next few minutes is how to ignite the compound effect. So this is a book that I wrote that has had a big impact, but I want to sort of talk about a few of the principles that will help ignite it for you. Create a system so that you might be able to take some of these principles, apply it into that system, and it will start producing results in your life. So that's what I'm here to try to convey to you in this short period of time. When I wrote this book, it was not designed to be a national bestseller. A lot of people ask me, why did you write this book? It was when we first founded Success Magazine, and I was looking at the world and society around us, and I wrote it, frankly, because I was pissed off. I see a real injustice happening in our culture, in our society, when we are constantly being bombarded with ever-increasingly sensational claims to get rich, get fit, get younger, get sexier, all overnight with very little effort for only 3 easy payments of $39.95. And these solicitous marketing gimmickry messages, if anybody has a sincere interest to figure out what it really takes to be successful, is constantly derailing and distracting them from the truth. So the real purpose of writing this book was to demystify the truth, clear the clutter, and bring people back to the truth of what it really takes to earn success. And the first thing is, there is no silver bullet. There is no magic pill, and for God's sakes, people, there is no frickin' secret that's been buried for 2,000 years by some covert society, only released recently for worldwide revelation, so you can sit on your couch and just imagine checks coming into your mailbox. Are you kidding me? You do that for too long, and they will come and take your couch. Put you in a white jacket, off to a safe place. You're going to have to get off the damn couch, go out the door, and make something happen. So here's the truth about success. Here's the secret that has been lost for the last couple of decades, I'll say, that is going to be revealed here for worldwide revelation. Here's the secret of success. It's hard frickin' work. That's what it takes to earn success. But we lost this truth with all the marketing and commercial gimmickry that we're constantly surrounded with. So here's the truth about the process of earning success. It is mundane. What you do when you go home Monday, the process that you have to go through to be successful, it's mundane. It is also unexciting. You're not going to film this for reality TV because it's not good TV. It is unsexy. It is very laborious, oftentimes downright frustrating, if not demoralizing and defeating. But you see, that doesn't make for interesting books, or exciting infomercials, or riveting movies. So instead, we are paraded with these other images and models of what the path and journey is to success. So my first key point for you here is truly, stop looking for the quick fix for success, happiness, and wealth. Now afterwards, I'm going to do a book signing and get a chance to meet many of you, take photos and so forth. And I know somebody's going to come up and say, okay, that was really great, I'm really motivated, but just give me the one thing I need to do to be successful. It's 3 words. Hard frickin' work, okay? Alright, success is earned one single day at a time. One single step in that day at a time. One decision, all the little decisions you make throughout the day at a time. One shake at a time. Break it up. One, as the Hulkster would say, workout at a time. One phone call at a time. One challenge party at a time. And you can never own success. All these people with these pretty gray blazers and the black ones and the blue ones, you can never really arrive. You never own success. You can only rent it. And the rent is due every single day. So how many of you ever been to a seminar, read a book, or listened to a CD program on the back that said transformation results in 90 days or less, and in 90 days or less, you do not have transformational results? Anybody? Okay, yeah, me too. Because here's why. It's not what you know. Knowledge is not power. It is what you do with what you know. Action is the ultimate key to your success. Learning and knowledge is only the beginning. It's the potential. It's like energy in a light switch. It's there, but you have to physically flip it on in order for it to activate. See, there are a lot of broke geniuses. There are a lot of people out there who know a lot of stuff. They've read all the books, they've been to all the seminars, but they got nothing to show for it as results in their life. Whereas Morpheus, the philosopher, said there's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path. So as I go through a couple of these core principles, what I don't want you to say inside your head is this: oh, I already know that. Instead, I want you to ask yourself the question, am I doing that? And then ask further, have I mastered that? And does my waistline prove that I've mastered that? Does my bank account prove that I've mastered that? Does the size of my organization prove that I have mastered that? Do the relationships in my life prove that I've mastered that? If we called your spouse, if we called and talked to your kids, would they say, yes, you've in fact mastered that? And if the answer is, well, maybe not quite yet, then there is still something yet to learn. It might not be anything new. It might be something you already know, coming and bringing it back to the front of your mind, giving you a system to actually execute on it for the first time that actually might ignite the success never before seen possible before. So here's what the compound effect principles are like. It's the operating system underneath which all success is built on top of. It's kind of like this. You can take the world's most well-designed software, where tens of millions of dollars have been invested to build it, the best engineers in the world. If you install that software on a faulty operating system, what will happen? It'll be buggy, it'll crash, it'll never perform to its potential. But a lot of people mistakenly say, oh, this software isn't working. That's what it's like when you read a book or go to a seminar. You start to apply the ideas and then it doesn't work. You go, oh, those ideas don't work. This comp plan doesn't work. This opportunity doesn't work. Well, the problem is that it was installed on a faulty operating system, and that's what made it buggy and made it crash, right? So, what we're about here today to do is to get your operating system rewired, recoded, so it's stable and solid. Then once we've got your operating system figured out, then we can layer on top the leadership software, the selling software, the negotiating software, the parenting software, the global ambassador software, and ultimately get you to where you want to go. So here's my goal. I'm very goal-oriented. Here's my goal for us this morning. I want to show you a system that will enable you to achieve goals you were even too afraid. When you walked in here this morning, you were too afraid to even imagine possible. Because if I can show you how something can be achieved, all of a sudden that will ignite your imagination to go bigger. But if it's too big beyond what you believe you can achieve, you won't even dream it possible. So I want to show you a system that will allow you to see how the achievement is possible. Thus, it will expand your goals and your dreams. So a year, 2, 3 years from now, you are completely unrecognizable to the person you are sitting in that chair right here. You're unrecognizable to your spouse, you're unrecognizable to your kids, your neighbors, your colleagues, your alumni, and you're very unrecognizable to your banker. That's what we're after here. So between you and the achievement of your goal, and it doesn't matter what your goal is this operating system. It could be to raise confident children, save money for a college fund, become a global ambassador, get your BMW. It doesn't matter what the goal is, but between you and that goal is this operating system. So that's what we're going to do, is to put in the code to rewire your operating system so that you can get from point A to point B. So, we all come into this experience exactly the same. Naked, scared, and ignorant. A few of us a little uglier than the rest. You saw my baby photo. But we all come in the same. Naked, scared, and ignorant. And after that grand entrance, everything you do after that determines the outcomes that you will have in life. And it comes down to only one thing. If you were to ask me to boil down the success principles into one thing that determines your outcome in life, what do you think that one thing is? The one thing that determines whether you end up living here or whether you end up living here. What's the one thing that determines whether you end up driving this or you end up driving this? Or better yet, driving that. Or better yet, driving that. There's only one thing that determines whether At the end of a long life, you end up lonely, despondent, and broke. Or 50, 60 years down the way, you have a relationship of deep intimacy and connection. Only one thing will determine whether you're able to send your kids to the greatest universities in the world, or no matter what they qualify for, they can't go because you can't afford to send them. Only one thing determines whether you end up seeing a check like this, or you see a check like this. Only one thing will determine whether you get to support the charities of your choice to your fullest heart's extent, and whether you get to travel the world in great luxury. What is the one thing, as Curly from City Slickers would say? Figure out the one thing. I'm going to give you the one thing. You ready? It all comes down to choices. Right now, as you sit there in that chair, you are the accumulated effect of all the choices you've made since you came in naked, scared, and ignorant. Right now, as you sit there, your waistline is the accumulated effect of all the choices you've made up to this point. Your bank balance, your relationship status, the relationship connection you have with your family and friends is nothing but the accumulated effect of all the choices you've made up until this point. So if we want to change the trajectory of your life from this point forward, we have to go to the ultimate control center of where it all begins, and it begins with your choices. So now you might ask, that's the first line of code in the operating system. What choices are we talking about? Because we're faced with choices all day, every day. And a lot of people make the mistake of, well, it must be the choice of where you went to college, what job you took, who you decided to marry, these big life-defining moment choices. But let me ask you, how many people here have ever been bitten by an elephant? No? Okay. How about a mosquito? Anybody been bitten by a mosquito? Well, see, life provides clues, right? Sometimes it's the little things in life that will bite you. So when I get asked, how do we choose the 12 people out of 7 billion people on the planet to end up on the cover of Success magazine? What have these people done to create these extraordinary success stories? If they started out naked, scared, and ignorant, but then ended up on the cover of Success magazine, what did they do different than the 7 billion people around them? Key question. So now, let me show you what a lot of people believe they did that is not true. Success is not a result of heroic feats. None of these people did anything heroic to end up on the cover of Success magazine. It is not grand acts of bravery. You do not leap and hope that the net will appear. They will put you in a safe house if that is your belief and philosophy. It wasn't grand acts of bravery that ended up on the cover of Success magazine. And it wasn't quantum leaps. It wasn't like all of a sudden this overnight success was possible because they were in the right place at the right time. They weren't a product of quantum leaps either. Success is a result, however, of this. So if you're taking notes, here's what it all comes down to. Small, seemingly insignificant, moment-to-moment choices that over time accumulate and compound into the extraordinary results that you see on the cover of Success magazine. Small little choices like, at lunch, do you pick the hamburger and fries? Or do you pick the salad? It doesn't look like a life-altering choice. Or choices like, at the end of a long, hard day's work, do you stop by and put in a few crunches? Or do you go home and watch Dancing with the Stars or America's Idol and watch other people living out their dream? Small choices like, at a networking meeting, you want to go and introduce yourself to that person, but you're just a little intimidated to do so. Do you do it anyway, or do you hunker down afraid? Small little choices like, in the heat of a battle with your spouse, do you just turn your shoulder and say, I'm not putting up with this tonight, I don't want to talk about it tonight, or you decide to bite your tongue, say I'm sorry, and make a moment of magic. Small little choices, like at the end of a long, hard day, do you put in a few more phone calls, or do you call it a day? These small choices add up to big results. A lot of people don't realize this, but all those little choices are what end up creating the big results. Let me prove this to you. If I were to give you the choice between a penny that doubles every day for 31 days or $1 million in cash right now, how many people would pick the $1 million in cash? Okay, a couple. Tough crowd. Let me sweeten the deal. 2 million. Penny that doubles every day for 31 days or $2 million in cash, how many people take the 2 million? Okay, a few more. Hey, so the math's going to turn on you here in a bit, so figure out when that is. Last offer, $3 million in cash or the penny. How many people take the $3 million in cash? All right, well, let's just say you did pick the penny. We're talking about small little things adding up here, which is kind of the lead-in cue. Let's say you picked the penny and your buddy picked the $3 million in cash. Let's see how this works out mathematically. After day 5, your penny is turned into 16 cents. And they're partying like a rock star with their $3 million in cash. Day 10, your penny is not even enough to buy a Happy Meal at McDonald's, and they're drinking champagne, caviar, like the lifestyles of the rich and famous, right? Day 20, your penny's only $5,242. They still have $3 million in cash. However, at day 31, your penny's turned into $10,737,000 against their $3 million. Now here's the key lesson here. The math between day 1 and day 2, the choice, is exactly the same math between day 30 and day 31, the choice. But it took the time to accumulate and compound into the extraordinary outcome. This is the reason why Einstein called compound interest the 8th wonder of the world, because it creates these seemingly magical, gargantuan results with small little compounded interest rates. So let me make this more practical. Let's take 3 friends. They all sort of start out the same way. They graduated from the same university. They moved into the suburbs. They've all been married for 5 years. They've accumulated some of that 5-year guy marriage flab, right? You know, they've got 2.2 children, white picket fence. They all make about $50,000 a year. So now let's take Scott. Scott reads Success Magazine. He's like, hey, I'm going to try some of this stuff. I'm not going to do a transformation. I'm not going to go into a big challenge. I'm just going to try a few of these things. So this is all Scott does. Instead of getting up in the morning and reading about all the murders and crime and political scandal in the newspaper, he decides to pick up a good book, something instructional, something inspirational, and he just reads 10 pages each morning. On the way into work, instead of turning on the drive time yak radio and hearing more about the murders and disasters and crises of the world, he listens to something inspirational and instructional, maybe something out of the Success Club CDs that all of you get. And he decides to just cut out 125 calories out of his diet. That's half a candy bar or a small bowl of cereal. That's all. No crash diet, no massive diet deal. He decides to drink 2 bottles of water a day. He takes 2,000 extra steps a day, which means he just parks at the back of the parking lot, no big deal. He makes a few more calls before calling it a day, and he makes his weekly date night with his wife a priority. That's all Scott's doing. Now, how many people think, at the very minimum, they could at least do Scott's plan? Everybody here, right? Okay, now let's look at Larry. Larry's just going to keep doing what he's always done. And Brad. Now, Brad's just going to start making some small, poor choices. Nothing huge, but just small, poor choices. Let's look at it. He's going to munch on a little junk food around the office. You know the chocolate-covered pretzels at the end of the secretary's desk? Right, half a handful of the chocolate-covered peanut M&Ms. No big deal. He's going to miss a couple of workouts a week. He's going to drink more Diet Coke than water, God forbid. He's going to move around a little less. He's going to skip a prospecting call or two. And he's going to give a cold shoulder to the spouse a few times throughout the week. Again, we're not going to call Jerry Springer in to film his internal household. Just cold shoulder a couple times a week. Well, let's add up the results. After 5 months, all 3 friends look exactly the same. No difference in their results whatsoever. After 10 months, exactly the same. Now, Scott's getting a little perturbed. He's like, I'm reading this book every morning. I'm listening to these CDs. I'm doing this dang date night every week with my wife. And my buddies are sloughing off, having a good time, eating whatever they want, and the results are exactly the same. It doesn't look like it's working. But Scott won't be fooled. He continues forward. At the end of 20 months, slight differences, right? Brad's just sort of feeling it in the belt a little bit. You know, there's apathy starting to set into the marriage a little bit. There's frustration at the office. But again, nothing dramatic. It's not until 27 months down the road that the results between the 3 friends are dramatic. Let me give you outcome. So Scott, 27 months later, has read 47 books on success and achievement, only reading 10 pages a day, 5 days a week. Now, most people don't read 3 books their entire life. And Scott's read 47 books, listened to 465 hours of audio to instruct and nourish and feed his mind. Is that going to make a difference in his life? The 125 calories that he cut out of his diet, he lost 33.5 pounds. When I interviewed Dr. Oz, he said we can end obesity in America today if everybody just cut out 125 calories out of their diet. That's it. He drank 3,700 gallons of water. He walked 900 miles. He did 124 date nights with his wife. I had photos to show you, but I just left it with the X's and O's. Those few extra calls meant he made 1,860 extra calls he wouldn't have made before, which meant that he added $279,000 on top of his $50,000 a year income. Small, positive choices compounded over time. Now, Larry, here's what Larry did. Just treading water, falling a little bit further behind, becoming disenchanted, bored, apathetic, passionless, and disengaged. This is where 90% of our society lives right now. They're not falling off a cliff, but they're not setting the world on fire. They're doing the same thing, falling a little bit further behind, and getting more pissed off about it. That's it. And then we got Brad. Some of these poor choices, how they've added up. That 125 calories he added to his diet, he's added 33.5 pounds to his frame. Missed a couple of workouts, more Diet Coke, more weight gain. Now he's in jeopardy of a heart attack. Missed a few meetings, made a few less calls. Now he's in business and financial emergency. And this inattention and cold shoulder, apathy set in, or he's on the brink of divorce. Poor choices compounded over time end up in disaster. By the way, I see a lot of you taking photos of the slides. There's over 170 some odd slides here. If you want the whole slide deck so that you could just listen to the key points, if you text into that phone number, it'll send you the whole slide deck so that you can just sort of listen and pay attention. Is that helpful? Okay. All right, the phone number is 510-296-6208. You just, in the body, put your name and email address and it'll email it to you, okay? And if you didn't catch it, it's in the corner on the left. So then why, if it seems so easy to do, why is it that people continue to make poor choices? There are 4 traps that you will face, and I want to give these to you because you will be faced with these traps as you start to go through your day wanting to make positive choices. This is what to look out for. Here's the first one. As you're making choices throughout your day, the results are invisible. When you order the hamburger and fries, the results are invisible. When you don't work out, the results are invisible. But I could fix that problem for you right here, right now, if I could take the space-time continuum and collapse it. Which is, you make this choice today, 20 years out, we show you the result of that choice compounded. For instance, if you did choose at lunch today the hamburger and fries, and upon the first bite, your gut exploded, you clutched your chest and a heart attack and fell to the ground. Or the next morning after that hamburger and fries, you woke up like this. How many people would never have a hamburger and fry again? Oh, but how do you get like this? One hamburger and fry at a time. Let's just say the first time you smoke a cigarette, you breathe in it deeply, you put it down, life didn't change. Seems like everything's going on about its merry way. But the next morning you woke up like this. You might think again about taking the next puff, right? Or let's just say, you're a young kid, you take your first cigarette, it's like, this looks cool, man, this kid looks like James Dean. He's getting all sorts of positive affirmation for him taking a drag of a cigarette. But let's take the space-time continuum out and let his future self talk to his current self. What would it say? How do you end up like this? One single cigarette at a time. Or let's just say one day you say, I'm not going to make my extra phone calls today. I'm tired. I got a headache. I got to pick up the kids. I got to stop by and pick up the laundry. I'll make up for it tomorrow, just not today. And upon the first day that you don't make your calls, Donald Trump calls you, says you're fired, and your house is up on the foreclosure blocks. Just one day. Or let's just say you're in the heat of the battle. You're like, today I just don't feel like engaging. No, I'm not apologizing. Forget it. I just don't want to have this discussion. And the next morning you wake up to divorce papers and you've got to look your little girl in the eyes and explain why you couldn't make the right choice. How do you end up here? One single decision at a time. So here's the answer. To recognize that every single choice that you make has a butterfly effect in your life. Every single choice. Now look, I believe in moderation. Your grandmother was right. Everything in moderation. You don't have to be dogmatic about everything. But just know that the compound effect does not take a cheat day off. Every single choice you make has a butterfly effect in your life, both positive and negative. And so if you realize that there is this space-time continuum that's being affected by every choice you're making right here, it will inform you to make better choices. The other answer is you have to have patience. As you start making a lot of these positive choices, like Scott, it's like 10 months of this and I don't even see any difference between me and my buddies. You have to have patience and let the power of the compound effect take its course. Because if you sustain it long enough, then all of a sudden, wham! The differences between you and your buddies and the people around you are extraordinary, but it requires patience. Here's the next trap. As you go along, the outcomes are subtle and deceptive. Here's what it's like. Imagine if you were taking a plane from LAX to LaGuardia in New York. And on the tarmac, you're sitting on the plane, and the nose is pointed straight at LaGuardia. If the nose of that plane is off 1 degree, from here to here, did you see that? From here to here, here to here, like not very much. By the time it gets to its destination, it'll be 150 miles off course. This is how it happens, people. 10 years down the road, you get here and you go, how did I get here? How did I get so fat? How did I end up broke? How did I end up divorced? It didn't have to be anything significant. It could have just been 1 degree off. And that trajectory took you 10 years out, 150 miles off course from your goals, your dreams, and your aspirations. So, what you need is what a plane has. In the nose of a plane is what's called the gyroscope. And it readjusts itself during its course to its destination. So if there's weather or there's traffic or they have to be redirected, the computer kicks on and realigns it with its target. Well, it's easy to fly in the air, but here on the ground, things are a little bit rougher. So it's like being at the top of a double diamond black ski run. There is the lodge with the fire and the hot cocoa, and you've got to get from here to there. And if you just think you're going to go straight, it's going to be nothing but assholes and elbows. So what happens is you're going to start going down, and you're going to get hit by a mogul, and it's going to push you to the left. And if you keep skiing, you'll ski off the slope. So you have to readjust and come back. And you get hit with another mogul, and it'll push you off course. You'll have to readjust and come back. See, you won't take a straight line to your goal. You will not stay on the wagon. You will not be perfect in your diet, perfect in your workout, perfect in your prospecting. You will get pushed off course. What you need then is a gyroscope to pull you back on. Because too many people unconsciously get pushed off, nudged off, and then have 150 miles off course and don't know how they got there. So I'll show you a system about, in one page, you could use this as a gyroscope to guide and direct your life along the way. Here's the third trap, immediate gratification. As a society, as a culture, we are addicted to immediate gratification. We want what we want, when we want it, and we want it now. And this is the reason why we continually find ourselves pulled off course. Here's the challenge. When faced with a choice, after dinner, chocolate cake or glass of water? Chocolate cake or glass of water? Now let's say you pick the chocolate cake. What do you get? I mean, you get warm, delicious, delectable chocolate cake, man. It's happiness on a plate. That's what you get. Now, what if you pick the glass of water? What do you get? Buckets. Nothing. Therein lies your greatest challenge. If you make a poor choice, you are rewarded. You are pleasured. You are gratified. If you make a positive choice, you get nothing. And that's the challenge you will be faced with all along throughout the day, every day of your life. And we come by this very early in age. By the way, if you're a parent, let me just offer you one thing if you're a parent. I had this friend of mine who decided to read The Compound Effect with his 11-year-old son. And he came to me and he said, this is the most important book in my entire library. If my house was burning down, I would go and get this book. I'm like, dude, that's saying something, because he's in the book business. He built Maxwell's company, Marcus Buckingham's company, Keith Ferrazzi's company. I said, what do you mean by that? He says, well, what I did is I decided to read it with my son Grant. And we'd read a chapter, he'd write his notes and his action plan, and then I'd read it, I'd write my notes and my action plan. At the end of the week, we would talk about it. And he said, we had the most rich, engaging conversations I've ever had with my son, and it's all documented in this book. He said, because we were talking about the things that were coming out of the book, instead of it being father to son, and him not hearing me because I'm his father, it was the book was doing the talking, and it was facilitating the discussion. So I just encourage you, you want to help guide your children through this landmine of constant, solicitous, gratifying, pleasure-seeking choices that they've got to make throughout the day, this could become a great little tool and device. If you want to guide your organization, the people in your organization, to make the right choices, to stay on course, to stay disciplined, and stay consistent, use it as a third-party tool to help inform how they can stay the course to find their success at the other end of it. Because we are in a landmine of immediate gratification. We are constantly being solicited to appeal to our pleasure centers at all times throughout the day. And you have to have, mental armor in order to make it through this minefield without getting pulled off course. And here's the great paradox. What gives you short-term pleasure creates long-term pain. And what gives you short-term pain creates long-term pleasure. My mentor, Mr. Jim Rohn, put it this way. He said, you will suffer one of two pains. Now, right there in that first line is great wisdom, which is you will suffer. Like, nobody gets out of this thing without suffering. That's a key point. Like, don't try to, avoid it. Envelop yourself in it. But he says you get a choice. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Now, the pain of discipline, having water instead of the chocolate cake, going to the gym, picking up the phone and making that prospecting call, having another challenge party when you don't feel like having another challenge party. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret, divorce, bankruptcy, check with a very little number on it from Visalis, that weighs tons. So if you're going to pick a pain, my suggestion is pick the pain of discipline, not the pain of regret. And here's the last trap. What's easy to do is also easy not to do. See, it's easy to eat an apple a day to keep the doctor away. We've been told that all our lives. It's easy to take a walk around the block for your good health. It's easy to show affection to your spouse once or twice throughout the day. It's easy to drink a glass of water, write thank you notes, and pick up the phone. But the problem is, it's also what? Easy not to do. Exactly. So I have an important question for this intelligent audience. What do unsuccessful and successful people have in common? Here's what it is. They both hate to do what it takes to be successful. Successful people just do it anyway. Look, do I like getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, leaving the warm embrace of my beautiful bride, to put on running shoes to go pound pavement out in the middle of the dark and the cold? I do not. Do I like, at the end of a long, hard day, instead of going home to the couch, going into a sweaty gym and pushing around a bunch of lead iron with a bunch of hairy dudes? I do not. In the heat of a battle with my wife, when I know that I'm right, do I want to bite my lip and say, you're right, honey, I'm sorry? I do not. But why do I do those things? Because that's what it takes to be successful. See, I think it's very liberating for those that aren't successful to realize that successful people hate to do this stuff too. They just do it anyway. I mean, they make the excuse, oh, that person just loves to eat vegetables. Well, that person just loves to work out. That person just loves to get rejected. That person just really loves failure. No, we all hate this stuff. We just do it anyway. So hopefully that's liberating to the rest of us. Alright, well, we can't do that. Dang it. That's an important one. Let me get to the final equation here. Oh, geez, that's good stuff too. Right on election year too, man. If you think Obama has this to blame for your problems, or you think Mitt Romney is going to solve them, the only person responsible for your economy is what? That butt in the chair. Exactly. The only person responsible for your health care plan is what you stick in your face. Yeah. Oh man, we can't do that here. Yeah, we ran out of time. I want to get to the end here. Oh, here's what I'm going to do. So yesterday I did this talk in its full extent, 90 minutes. It was awesome. I recorded it. I'm trying to get it uploaded. So the same place that you'll get the slides from today, you can get a full audio of this entire thing. At least I'm hoping so. It's a new technology I'm working on. So if not, I'll find another way to give you this whole thing one way or another. Wow, this is really a lot of good stuff in here. See that? Burning buildings and everything. That's drama right there. Oh yeah, there's the bathroom story, which is cool. Oh, okay. Yeah. Let me just give you the master transformation system. Leave you with this. I don't care how many goals you got. 10 goals, 100 goals, bucket list of 1,000, doesn't matter. You've got to boil it down to your top 3. Just like Jim Collins says, if you have more than 3 priorities, you don't have any. If you have more than 3 goals, you don't have any. Figure out what are the 3 things that have happened would make it the best year of your life. That if these 3 things happen, oh my God, this would be it. This would be the best year of my life. Figure out what those are. Identify those, number 1. Number 2, what are the key behaviors that are necessary to accomplish those big goals? In other words, let's take a look at your own business. There are not 5,000 things you need to do to be successful in this organization. It all boils down to less than a half dozen. So what are, I gathered with your leadership team, the half dozen critical key behaviors necessary for all of you to get to Global Ambassador? Would you like to know what those half dozen key functions are? I'm going to give it to you. Here it is. Number 1, get on a challenge. In other words, be a product of the product. Walk around and just say, do you want some of this? I mean, that would be great, right? Be on the challenge. Number 2, promote the challenge. Promote it so that other people can also get the transformational results that you've proven in your own life. Number 3, promote the 3 for free stars and cards. What does that mean? Just help somebody else do the same thing you've done. That's all. You're in the helping business. Helping other people become successful is your key to success in this organization. And then promote and attend events. What you guys are doing right now is a key behavior to building a large, successful organization. Right now, you're in prime time, money time, doing what you're doing right now. And then 5 is your personal development. When you grow, everything in your life will grow with you. When you improve, everything in your life will improve with you. Your personal development and your growth is the key to the growth of you being a leader and you growing an organization in this company. And then lastly is simply track your results. Track your results. Inside the Living Your Best Year Ever program is a single piece of paper where you can roll up your top 3 goals, the key behaviors, and then track each day along the way. It takes less than 2 minutes. This is the gyroscope. You don't want to get too far down the road, a month, a quarter, a year, before you are constantly tracking your results every single day to figure out whether you're on track or off track. In less than 2 minutes, you can readjust your gyroscope to be sure that you're headed in the right direction, on track or off track. So with that, I just want to leave you with this last core principle that I find a lot of the most significant achievers have that separates them from everybody else. And that is resolve. This thing that no matter what, I will make it to the top. If you look at Global Ambassador as your mountain in life, as you go back to your marketplace Monday, you're going to start working, you're going to be climbing that mountain. There's going to be friends and family who love you, who are going to come up and go, you know, you really shouldn't be climbing that. Look, you've got a good job. You're lucky to have a job in this economy. Yeah. Get out. You're going to have to look them in the eye and say, going to the top. You're going to climb up a little further. There's going to be friends and family and colleagues and people at the office who are going to come and say, you know, I've heard about that mountain. That mountain is treacherous. People have fallen off of that mountain before. You shouldn't climb that mountain. I've heard bad things about that mountain. You have to look them in the eye and say, I'm going to this top. You're going to climb a little further. There are going to be people who go, hey, if you're so insistent on climbing mountains, hey, I got a better mountain over here. This mountain's faster, easier, you make more money. You have to look them in the eye and say, this is my mountain. You'll either see me waving from the top or laying dead on the side. I am not coming back. That kind of resolve. I look forward to seeing all of you inside the pages of Success Magazine.